was a good one, and yeah.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Made that king, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then flew with the bomb in her boobies and and then he killed the guy and he was like bleh.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Anime Summit podcast, where we tell you why Nick farts all the time. Every time he watches anime, he just farts it up. It's fucking amazing. I'm Sam the Bomb, and with me again, always, is Too Slick Nick.
Who wants to be my sheath?
No, I fucked up.
Sword.
No, wait, hold on. Let me start over.
Okay.
And with me, as always, is Neon Genesis, Nick Vangelion. Because I forgot that I had the list of Udinger. Shout out to Udinger. He sent me a list of all of the Nick nicknames he made based on anime.
That's a good one though. Fits me to a T.
Nick Vangelion, yeah.
Wait till our seasonal review episode. I got a spicy little number for you.
There you go. Yeah, because I'm gonna start introducing Nick that way. And of course, the lovely and my big sis, Danny.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be here on this earth.
One time,
you want to tell us something, Danny? Are you
you want to talk about something? Do we need another intervention?
Like hovering above a bathtub right now?
No.
No, real shit. One time, I went.
Danny's
to this
standing on the ledge of her school roof.
Oh God! When I was a kid, I went to this concert for this band, Escape the Fate, and like when we went outside to like wait for my dad to come, this homeless guy's like, "Hey, you got any money?" And I gave him like $1 because I had $1, and he was like, "Every day you wake up is a blessing," and then he walked away, and I was like, "That dude is a genius."
It's true though,
and he should write a book.
Yeah, he says that shit to everybody. You're not special.
Probably, but I'll fucking never
kidding.
take that shit for. I take a lot of shit for granted, so I always remember that guy. Anyway, now that we're done with Danny's intervention,
yeah,
in fact,
Danny.
all three of our interventions.
We gotta bang more pots and pans in your face.
Gotta bang more pots and pans. Yeah, let me put
I thought that was a song though.
Let me put the intervention music.
Everybody
right
gets
here.
pots and pans. It's the most effective method.
I don't know why, but on the last episode, you made my like setup scenario way more intricate than everyone else's. It's just like we go
I don't know
into
why
a basement.
either. It just came to me in the moment.
We go into a basement. The guy from Saw's there. I forgot his name. Chucky or something.
His name is Jigsaw, by the way, Sam. What the fuck did you call him?
No, the puppet's name is Billy. The villain's name is Jigsaw.
No, the puppet is also Jigsaw. It's the same guy.
The puppet's name is Billy. I've seen all the films.
Jigsaw. All right.
I'm like a big fan of those movies. Don't at me.
Okay, enough about the Saw debate.
Yeah, let's get back into our main topic.
So back into the main topic, Saw. We're going to talk about the latest one. Just kidding. No, later in the episode, we're going to talk about... so Nick had this idea to like... So since like me and Nick and Danny are all around the same age, and we're getting really old, I'm going to be 29 this summer. That is crazy to say out loud, and I kind of regret saying it. But
your AARP card is in the mail, Sam.
My AARP card's in the mail, dude.
You're already getting like spam calls, and people are trying to like steal your social security.
Yeah, for real. But like, no, like Nick had this great idea to try and catch things as like they go through an anniversary. So this year we're gonna talk about Samurai X: Trust and Betrayal because it turns 20 this year. It came out in 1999. February 1999, so a couple months ago. It would have been 20 years old. So that's super dope. The thing about Trust and Betrayal is that it's a prequel to the TV series Rurouni Kenshin. So we're going to talk about that later.
But it was produced after Kenshin, I believe.
Yeah, it came out after. It came out after, and it was made as a prequel.
You can watch either of them separately. You don't have to watch this one first. You can watch it by itself. You can watch Kenshin by itself. Either or, flip flop. Just don't watch the last season of Kenshin because that's filler.
The last season is filler, like.
Or so I've heard.
Oh God, we could talk about that show forever. But like, we're gonna focus mainly on the OVA, Rurouni Kenshin Trust and Betrayal, or Samurai X Trust and Betrayal, as it was released here by ADV. That being said, we're going to take a quick break right here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, thank you. So check that out, please. And links.animesummit.net, that's where you can find everything. You can find Nick's Twitter, @BlindFreeman, Danny, @DanceandDanny. Isn't it 90? Isn't it?
Yeah.
DanceandDanny 90. And you can @ me. I don't check Twitter that often anymore. But the reason why I'm giving you their Twitters is so you can yell at them about stuff. So @BlindFreeman, you smell, @DanceandDanny, why don't you go fart in a fortune cookie? Whatever. I'm going to tweet
I will go fart in a fortune cookie and it'll smell lovely.
Go tweet at them right now. Tell them that.
What if you opened the fortune cookie and it smelled like fart?
Like it was somebody, like
someone bottled it in there.
They bottled it in there. You can actually do that if you put it in the freezer. Just fart in it real quick and then put it in the freezer. And then it'll stay in there.
Yeah, it'll freeze the fart.
That's the name of my new
fart.
And then until you thaw it out.
That's the name of my new death metal band.
Thawed out
Freeze the
farts.
Freeze the fart.
Yeah, Freeze the Fart, first album, Thawed Out Farts.
EP.
Yeah, EP, Thawed Out Farts. Yeah, no, links on Anime Summit, you can find everything up there. You can even go to Amazon.com, type in Anime Summit Podcast or Anime Summit T-shirts, and buy a T-shirt. Until the end of May, if you buy a T-shirt, I'm going to send you a gift. After May, though, I'm done. I ain't got no more gifts. But if you buy a T-shirt and you send me a selfie with the T-shirt on, or you send it to Danny or whoever on her Instagram or on Twitter, or if you don't want to do that, you can DM it to me on Discord, like you don't want to post it in public or whatever, then I will send you a gift. I got like posters, figures. I got little keychains, little figures.
If you're lucky,
there.
you'll get a used figurine.
If you're lucky, you'll get a used one from Nick, not me, because I don't do that. But so yeah, there you go.
Lightly used.
Also, did you say leave a review on iTunes yet?
Oh yeah, leave a review on iTunes, would you? Give us 5 stars and tell us what you think. Okay, and you can be honest. We'll read your iTunes or review on the podcast and give you a shout out. So shout out to the homie. All right, here we go. Let's move into main topic. After Waifu and Husbando, obviously, if you've seen Trust and Betrayal, the Waifu and Husbando, the waifu is Tomoe, Yukishiro.
It's Tomoe,
which is
Sam.
Tomoe. Yeah, sorry, I was just
Tomoe.
watching a scene from the. I was watching the scene from the dub.
Tomoe?
I was watching a scene from the dub, and he screamed her name, and he goes Tomoe.
God, this is why you don't watch the dub. It's so fucking bad.
No, this is why you watch the dub.
Jesus Christ.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, you only watch
ding dong.
funny dubs if it's like a hentai or a comedy.
I want to redub an anime just terribly, just Toblerone. Yeah, Tomoe Yukishiro.
It's like Tsukigakure. He's like, I love you at the end of it. It's supposed to be so like dramatic, and it was just hilarious.
The love interest of the main character, the titular character, Kenshin Himura, aka the Hitokiri Battousai, the Manslayer. And that means that our husbando is Kenshin Himura as well. So yeah, there's your waifu and husbando. I feel like we might have did Kenshin like a long ass time ago, but I don't remember if we did.
This one counts.
This one counts because it's part of the thing. So shut up.
It's part of the thing.
Samurai X Trust and Betrayal. So it's called Rurouni Kenshin Trust and Betrayal, but when it was licensed in North America and the UK and Australia, they retitled it Samurai X Trust and Betrayal, and I don't know why that is. But
sounds badass, dude. X.
Yeah, it does kind of sound cool. X Samurai X sounds like
he has an X-shaped scar.
It sounds like one of those J-rock bands that include like the old school Japanese instruments. I forgot the name of that genre, but it's like
I don't know either.
Kabuki rock or something. Yeah, but like
like the guitars or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the banjo type things, and the
when you're playing
Hanafuda,
it just comes on in the background randomly. You don't know from where. But February 1999, as I stated earlier, is when it came out. It was done by Studio Dean, directed by Kazuhiro Furuhashi, who also did he did Dororo. He's the director for Dororo. So
there
that's
you go.
And he's the director for Get Backers also. And
Hunter x Hunter 1999 and Gundam Unicorn.
Yeah, some notable works there. Look it up. I believe he also was the director for the Samurai X Reflections as well.
Yeah, I think he did all the OVAs.
Yeah, and I think he did like the new Kyoto arc one too, where it was like a remake of that 2012 remake of the Kyoto arc where he fights Shishio and all that. Anyway, which is badass if you haven't seen it. So yeah, Kazuhiro Furuhashi was the director, and obviously it was written by the mangaka, the original creator, which was I had his thing open, Nobuhiro Watsuki. He got arrested for child pornography just like a few years ago. I was about to say it, and I was like, should I bring this up? And I was like, I don't really want to. Yeah, it's kind of hard not to say it. Yeah.
Luckily enough, this story has nothing to do with that, and it doesn't make you like think about it. So it's like
it
separate it from the author. You know, it sucks.
Yeah. He's in jail though, so he's serving his shit.
I'm surprised the Made in Abyss author didn't get nabbed for that. Jesus.
God, you and Made in Abyss. You always think Made in Abyss.
I'm telling you, man. I think it's the opposite. It's like the more regular your movie is, the more likely you are to get nabbed.
But he also did Buso Renkin, Crescent Moon, and some others. But he was most known for Rurouni Kenshin, and
that's where he makes his bread and butter.
That's definitely his bread and butter. Right.
And Kenshin finished, right? Did the manga finish?
Yeah,
like recently, or was that a while ago?
Well, they were on this thing called the. Wait, you know what? I should have looked that up.
It's like a different arc or something. But obviously, the TV show is old, but like the manga kept going.
I believe it was called the Hokkaido arc, and Viz stopped doing it because he got arrested, so they took it out. So I don't think.
But then didn't they like put him back on or something? They're like, make us more money. I don't know if that's right. Probably. I have only read the manga up to where he fights Shishio. So to be honest, I don't know. There's like 27 volumes, I think. 28. But then Viz kept going, I think, with the I think it was called Restoration. And then the new there's
Hokkaido
a whole bunch
arc.
of them.
Yeah, the new Hokkaido arc is what the new one's called. I'm just seeing it right now.
I really should stop looking at my anime list for this info because it doesnn't help. It has like 5 different titles, and they're all. It's not easy to find like the order.
They're all the same except one of them.
Yeah, it's just like. I have the Wikipedia article open right here, and it's.
Right. So, but what we're focusing on is the OVA Trust and Betrayal, which was, there wasn't a manga for it. Because where Rurouni Kenshin starts, the series starts, is Kenshin Himura wandering into town and then meeting Kaoru and going into her school for the Kamiya Kishin style of swordsmanship. But before that, it was always said in the series that Kenshin was the Hitokiri Battousai, or the Manslayer, someone who was an assassin for hire who worked through the shadows to assassinate the enemies of the shogunate of the Bakumatsu era. Which is where this anime takes place, or where this OVA takes place. Rurouni Kenshin, the series itself, takes place in the Meiji era. So this came out in 1999 after the fact, because I believe the Rurouni Kenshin anime came out in 96. So only a few years before. So this was done, I think it was because it was done by Studio Gallop for a while, and then Studio Dean did it. So then Studio Dean just a year later did this OVA after the 90-some episodes of Rurouni Kenshin. But that being said, basically we get to see Kenshin as a kid, and to summarize it, it's based on the manga. It chronicles the story of Kenshin Himura as the Hitokiri Battousai during the final years of the Bakumatsu era, also while revealing the origins of his cross-shaped scar and exploring his relationship with a woman he meets along the way named Yukishiro Tomoe, or Tomoe Yukishiro. So in this case, when he's a kid, his name is Shinta, and he sees his parents murdered by bandits, and he buries his parents, and then now I forgot his master's name. I had his master's name listed right in front of me.
Oh yeah, his master. Did his master show up in the TV series?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a part where he goes back to train with him for a little bit. Yeah.
Is it Hiko Seijuru?
Yeah, but I don't think they said his name.
Yeah,
you're just
Kakonishin Hiko Seijuru. I think that's it.
Yeah, but they don't say his name because you're just supposed to know.
I just butchered
that's
that name.
him.
Much like he butchered many bandits when he found Kenshin. I'm trying to tie it back in awkwardly.
Yeah, that's all right. But yeah, that's his. Yeah, so his master finds him, and he's like, well, this kid is really respectful towards life. I'm watching him bury his parents and his family and his friends. And
they weren't really his parents. He was sold. So
that's right.
They were like slave, like they were. He was a slave to them. But like the females were like the sisters or whatever were the closest thing that he had of like a family.
Yeah, so Hiko then takes Shinta or as his parents or as his apprentice and renames him Kenshin, a name which he felt was appropriate for a swordsman. So that's what it is. Yeah,
Shunta is not a good name for a warrior.
Yeah, no, it's like, watch out for Shinta.
Shinta,
so he
trains Splinter.
He trained. Yeah, he trains for years in the Hiten Mitsurugi style, which is what they say to be the most in the Rurouni Kenshin universe, the most powerful style of swordsmanship. But they have an argument, convinced that the only way to uphold the Hiten Mitsurugi style's pledge is to help the weak and innocent, is to join the revolution poised to upend the Tokugawa shogunate.
Yeah, they're fighting against like these authoritarian right-wing like shogunate, basically. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Kenshin thinks the way to... You just said it, man. I'm just repeating what you said.
No, it's okay. No, that's fine. But like he thinks the way to do it is to, by violent force, obviously. So he becomes a Hitokiri, which is like a person slasher or a manslayer or a sword or manslayer. But
it's kind of a similar story to Katanagatari a little bit, very loosely similar. But
you mean as someone who's like destined to like?
Well, yeah, you have like these usurpers trying to fight off a shogunate with swords.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very basic.
I'm thinking about the
actually
becoming
it's
a
lot more
thing.
Similar than you think. If you think about the spoilers at the end, but yeah.
When you said Katanagatari, I was immediately thinking of becoming a sword. What? like he's close enough. But over time, working for the Tokugawa shogunate, he becomes a hardened killer. He becomes feared far and wide throughout the country as the Battousai, and during a successful assassination, he kills a guy named Akira, or Kiyosado Akira, and later he runs into Tomoe, who is his wife or girlfriend or something, his lover, fiance, and she takes him in. And
she was the killed man's fiance, not Kenshin's fiance.
Not Kenshin's fiance. Yeah, the guy he killed.
There.
Sorry, my bad.
And so the guy that he killed left Kenshin a scar on his cheek. And, obviously if you've watched the anime before, you'll notice he has an X-shaped scar. So he got the first half of that scar from that guy. And it wouldn't stop bleeding because of, like, the superstition that... how exactly did they word it? It was, like, until... I mean, he had to, like, face a certain amount of karma for it to stop bleeding. I don't remember how they worded it, but... something to that effect, like until the soul was like avenged or something.
Yes.
Do you remember how that went? In any case, yeah, it was like he was being haunted by that scar, essentially.
To atone for him slaying Akira. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the first scar is the vertical one, so it goes down, and then down his face. But yeah, from there, he ends up falling in love with Tomoe, or they fall in love with each other. Man, I'm trying to. Are we spoiling it? We're just gonna spoil it, right? Because like,
I mean, it's like, really obvious what happens. Just look at the cover art.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. People need to like figure out how these stories go. Like,
put two and two together. I mean, if you've seen
it's
Rurouni
called
Kenshin,
Trust and Betrayal. What do you think happens?
Yeah.
She looks all sad on the art. He trusts her. She betrays him. Obviously,
betrays
she's
her
gonna
ass.
die. It's like a trope. And wait, in the anime, didn't they say that she was dead in the anime? Because her brother
In
was
the
trying to
series?
avenge her
In the
death. Yeah, in the
series,
series.
or what?
Her little brother was trying to avenge her in the series. I haven't watched the series in a long time, but that's
Oh, I
one of the plot
haven't gotten
points.
far. I don't remember.
I mean,
remember
basically,
that
like
point.
this came after Kenshin, so if you've seen it, you already know like the outcome. Like
Yeah.
Kenshin's gonna survive. He's not gonna die here.
Obviously.
It is a pretty like typical type of story, but it's the reason that we're covering it is because it was so well executed and handled.
Yukishiro Inishi, which he's still alive in the manga, apparently.
Also, it's
And
20
he's-
years old. Come on. Sorry.
Yeah, this is the 20th anniversary. That's why we're reviewing it, okay?
It's not really like a twist, though. It's not a twist at all. It's very predictable.
No, yeah,
Like, it's almost
just-
Shakespearean if you think about it.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's like Romeo and Juliet kind of ordeal. In
In
a way,
this-
slightly.
yeah,
in
like
the
they fall in love.
series-
It's forbidden.
Or,
chick dies.
sorry, not Romeo and Juliet, more like Hamlet.
Hamlet, yeah, to be or not
Yeah.
to be.
God, I need
Yeah.
to brush up on all that. I saw Hamlet
But I
in the
mean-
theater a long time ago, and it was good. But
But even so, this is also, I mean, it's inspired by a number of things. I think Nick pointed out Seven Samurai to me earlier.
yeah, like
Which is
Akira
in-
Kurosawa, I think he's the most famous Japanese film director, right? Like live action
definitely-
film.
Dude,
Him
yeah,
and
that dude-
Yasuhiro Ozu or Yasujiro Ozu. They were in like roughly the similar time frame too, like in the Showa period of Japan. Like
Oh,
the,
hell
the
yeah, for
mid-century, like 1950s to 60s. Well, they were, they made stuff before that, but like when was Seven Samurai made? That was
1954.
54, and then Ozu made his most famous stuff in the mid 50s as well. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you could kind of
Yeah.
see like loose influences. I don't know if the directors come out and stated that, but I mean I think it's at the point already where it's like, even if you don't know you're influenced, but you're influenced by something else that was influenced by it. It's like such a
Mhm.
baseline, so fundamental, especially the Kurosawa like style with the samurai. Man, I gotta rewatch all that stuff.
But no, Nick earlier brought up, other things that were inspired by that. There was also The Magnificent Seven, which came out in the 60s, which I think also has a remake with Chris Pratt and Denzel Washington. But
Such
that
a good movie.
And like all the famous westerns were kind of pulled from Seven Samurai. A lot of them did.
Yeah, The Magnificent Seven was one of them.
Yeah.
1960.
Stuff with like John
Um,
Wayne and all that. Good, Bad, and the Ugly. I think that one is like directly from it. I could be wrong on that.
Some of the epics that Akira Kurosawa has done inspired like Star Wars: A New Hope and things like that too.
Afro Samurai, the best samurai creation, obviously.
The best samurai creation. But obviously, there's a lot of themes like what Danny pointed out earlier about kind of the Shakespearean aspects, and Nick bringing up Seven Samurai and Magnificent Seven. There's so much that you can enjoy about this as like, because it's an OVA, right? It's like
It's
like the
essentially
length
a
of four
movie.
episodes. But it's essentially a movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's a
You-
movie
and-
length.
Like Nick mentioned earlier, you could watch it by itself. Like you don't need to have.
Yeah, you can watch it within a day. You don't really need to spread it out.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I
But
did. I
us-
think I watched it over 2 days.
So Studio Dean took up the mantle of doing Rurouni Kenshin from like episode 66 and onward, I think. And then they decided to make this OVA. I tried to find background information on how or like why, but my good guess is it was just kind of like, hey, because like, Kenshin, his character himself in this TV series is like this really peaceful, chill guy. There's a couple times where you see him get mad and snap. But, like, what if we saw him in that badass state the whole entire movie? That's basically, like, this. Like, if you want to see Kenshin badass just the whole time, just damn near emotionless, and you want to know about his days as a manslayer, that's just what this film is for.
Oh, and actually, I'm reading an interview from one of the few pieces of information we could find. We still got to get better at finding background info, but we did find this. There's an interview with Watsuki Nobuhiro at Anime Expo 2002, and he's talking about the OVA. And some of you were asking, like, why did they make the OVA? Because, well, part of it, obviously they got funded, but, like, part of it was the director of the OVAs, who was also in the TV series, he wanted to do a more, like, you know, violent, gritty piece than he was allowed to do on TV. So with the OVAs, he was allowed to be more violent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the TV series, like, there is, like his whole thing is not
mild.
killing people.
Yeah,
but the
it's
violence
mild.
is mild. Yeah, you see blood here and there and some crazy shit happen here and there. People getting stabbed and stuff. But the OVA is like...
And it's funny because
because
Watsuki's, he was like... he was upset that the OVAs were better than the manga. At least according to this interview.
Did you say that for real?
Yeah, on the... We can put it in the show notes, but...
I would love to see, like, because I really like the art style and the animation of Trust Betrayal. I would love to see, like, the fight with Shishio animated like this.
Yeah, well, they'd have to make, like, a separate thing, because, yeah, we all know from TV anime, they have a limited time frame. They're always just, like, barely making it in, so, like, they'd have to get extra time in order to animate all that.
Right.
Like they did with the OVA.
Well,
presumably.
They did the Kyoso New Arc OVA in a different art style, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, if they have more than a week to create an episode, then they'll do a lot better. So
yeah, which was cool. The new Kyoto arc was cool, but like this style in particular, I just love. The animation by Dean was pretty sick. The last, like the one of the last fight sequences was really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, so Nick mentioned how he got the vertical part of the scar at the end as he's fighting. Was he fighting one of the bandits? Right?
Yeah, he's fighting one of the. I think he's part of the shogunate, or he's like a hired assassin from the shogunate, something to that effect.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He kills 3 of the 4 shogunate agents, and
they all like detonate, which is pretty badass. Yeah. They like pull
he
off
like
a bomb.
is pretty injured, and he is about to stand up and slash the leader with like the killing blow, but like Tomoe steps in between the two to protect Kenshin because she thinks that Kenshin's gonna die, and he ends up slashing through her and slashing him, and he dies, and then she dies. She grabs the wakizashi from the shogunate agent's hand, and as she's like, I think she wanted to put her hand on his face, but she lifted up the hand that she was holding the wakizashi in, and it cut the smaller horizontal version or scar.
No, I think she purposely did that.
I think she did that
she did it on
intentionally.
purpose?
It was like symmetry
she did that intentionally
for her husband who was killed. It kind of bookended that and like closed the curse or whatever. I'm not doing
That's a way better thing than what I just said.
Yeah,
because if you in her journals, because she kept journals because she was too afraid to talk about it, like actually talk about it, so she had to write all her feelings down. And in her journal, when she was going to betray Kenshin, when they both finally decided, oh, let's actually be husband and wife, like let's not just pretend, her voice was being spoken like in the background as like the whole scenario was playing out and everything. And she even said, like, oh, I know you killed my fiance, I loved him so much, blah blah blah, but I thought I could never forgive you, but then I ended up falling in love with you. It was kind of that like bookend of that last slash for his cross shaped scar was purposeful.
Thus why he has the badass cross shaped scar on his face. Now I don't even remember if he even mentions anything about it in the series. Like no one questions it. They just assume he has it.
I don't think anyone I don't ever remember Uh,
Well, the
anyone
series was a lot more
questioning it.
lighthearted for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there are
Yeah.
serious moments too, but
I would
had
definitely
the
have to
humor in it.
rewatch it. I would have to rewatch it and actually pay attention.
Also, do you really want to ask the guy who used to be a manslayer how he got it?
Yeah, for sure.
Probably not. No, like
you don't happen to the last guy who asked me about my scar.
Knowing him, he'll just like do this weird like Yoda speech that he usually does in the
Or he'll do like a goofy dance
the
and just
anime.
ignore it. That's all I can imagine from the TV series, just him goofing off. Which is fine, because like that's kind of what that's what he wanted to do in the first place. Kenshin's kind of a pacifist, like Vashta Stampede. He's basically Vashta Stampede
Yeah.
with a sword.
Yeah.
If you think about it, he's like exactly
who do you
the
think
same
would win in
character.
a fight?
Vash, because he has a gun.
Yeah, but
Unless they're really
It's
close.
Kenshin.
If they're within like 20 feet, then Kenshin wins. There you go. You know. Well, it's a true fact. though,
Yeah,
like,
but
if you're
if you
within,
think about it, if you really think about it, the two of them, you know, they both don't want to kill. If you really think about it.
okay, who would win? Both of them bloodlusted. They want blood. They want to kill. They're both bloodlusted, Danny. So who would win? You got it. It's like the terrain matters, because if
I
there's
feel like-
short distance,
I feel like Kenshin would.
I feel like Kenshin would purposefully eat a couple bullets with his body just to get close and then kill his ass.
Yeah.
Oh, like
some
Katanagatari
some
style?
grazed wounds on his shoulder.
and assuming Vash doesn't have like some overpowered bullshit gun, like
Which
like
he
how
kinda-
his whole entire
You mean-
arm
Well,
just
you mean
his whole
became
arm?
a gun and he blew up the second moon.
spoilers.
Yeah, I
Danny,
was gonna
God,
I was gonna
Oh,
say,
come
what
on,
do you
if
mean?
you-
stop spoiling 20-year-old shows.
Oh, come on. Like, if you haven't seen Trigun by now, like, you're living under a rock.
So, so by the end of it, you do see like characters from Rurouni Kenshin also. So after Tomoe's death, he swears to bring about the age desired by Katsura to protect the innocent, but to do so without killing.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, though,
The-
none of this is really that important. It's just like basic plot points. Like
Yeah, what I was going to say was
I always
after
say, plot doesn't matter.
What
It
I was
really
going to
doesn't.
say after that was he encounters the Shinsengumi, and he encounters the captain and his future rival Saito Hajime, which is probably one of the coolest characters in Rurouni Kenshin, based on the historical figure of the same name. Which, like, what's really cool about Trust and Betrayal is that a lot of like the battles and turning points of the Bakumatsu era, like in IRL, were in this movie, or OVA rather, and Hitokiris were like a real thing, like manslayers and shit, and like assassins that go through the shadows were a real thing. And I was telling Danny and Nick earlier, I was like, oh, but I don't think Kenshin was based on anyone in particular. And then Danny like posted the link. She's like, no, she's based on this guy, which was Kawakami Gensai, which I think we said before on this podcast. So
we've mentioned him. Yeah.
I totally forgot about it, which was my bad. But he was one of 4 most notable assassins of the Bakumatsu period. Kawakami Gensai died in 1872.
Yeah, he was in the late
Meiji
Edo
era.
period.
Late Edo period, yeah.
Because the Edo period was like, I think the Dutch had arrived by then. I don't know exact year when the Dutch arrived, but they arrived during Edo, right? To trade with Japan. And then eventually like Americans and other countries started to trade with them as well in like the Meiji. And like they got guns and gunpowder and all that. At least widespread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know
Then
gunpowder
that's when you
existed
get into
before that, but
that's when they started getting into that Tom Cruise shit.
yeah, The Last Samurai. that was
dude.
Meiji, I think. Or late Meiji? Something like that.
That movie was fun, cool. Anyway,
Because you had Edo, Meiji, and then Taisho. Taisho was like 1912. I'm looking at a list right now. And like, yeah, Meiji was like really the end of the samurai, like 1900s. It's like, yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
Like mid 1800s is like they're pretty much done.
yeah. The fall of Edo was like 1860 something.
That's part of like the premise for Kenshin too. Is like their samurai are starting to dwindle. It's like kind of the premise for a lot of samurai shows. Like if it's in the Meiji, then it's like, oh, you're one of the last samurai. It's like Samurai Champloo and all that. So.
Well, I remember in the first arc of Rurouni Kenshin, like the main villain was Kanryu Takeda, and he had like a howitzer turret that he was using to fight Kenshin with, and then he just like ran up the ceiling and was like, "Nope." And it's like,
Yeah.
it was awesome. But like, yeah, he lived in like a mansion, like a Western looking mansion and everything. But
I mean, that's a
Yeah,
cool
dude.
premise, though. Like, oh, you're the last of your kind, that type of thing, or like a dwindling, dying breed. Like that's always a cool premise.
yeah, like on some Master Chief shit, the last of a dying
put
breed.
some,
Hell yeah.
Some tension in there that wouldn't otherwise, because otherwise it's just like, oh well, I die, someone else will take my place. Well, not really. If Kenshin dies, like that's it, you know.
He carries.
He's not
the
the
tradition
last.
Forward,
He's not the
yeah.
last samurai, but he's one of them. Like everyone that that puts down the sword or dies,
Right, and he already was kind of leaving some of that behind.
That's
by-
part of the OVA stories. Like he was trying to leave that behind and be peaceful. That was like
Right.
the whole third episode. I think was just him and Tomoe like living, in the countryside and trying to farm and trade and eat and have an existence. They kind of fell in love in that episode too. So yeah, and I mean that's part of why the show is or the OVAs are good. It's not the politics or like the plot details. It's just the animation and the style and the mood of the whole thing. It's like really dark and like beautiful and also like brutal and bloody, especially like early on. Like basically one of the first scenes is like just peasants getting slaughtered and chopped in half. It's like really bloody. Like people are literally getting chopped in half by swords. So it draws you in with that. You get like, people are getting showered in blood and like red is everywhere.
It definitely took on that kind of like one of those like violent exploitation samurai films that like
Oh yeah, like
some people made.
almost Wicked City style or Overfiend a little bit, Ninja Scroll. It reminds you of that to start out, except it's not as kooky. It's not like monsters.
Not as ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like actual Japanese history involved, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's historically based, and part of me wonders if it's like. I think I'm wondering if like people getting literally chopped in half was like in his imagination as a kid, because like you see his master, he cut a guy into like 7 pieces, just vivisected him in like a second. I was like, holy shit.
Hey man, the Hiton Mitsurugi style.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is like ultra powerful.
Which
it's
I don't
like-
know.
it's
I
really
should have looked up if
stylized. I
that
like
was a
that.
real style.
And
I don't think it is.
I enjoyed how the fights weren't drawn out. They were just like really efficient and visceral, because that's how it is in reality. Like a fight doesn't last more than a few seconds. And Kenshin, especially as an assassin, he'd just run up and murk people as quick as he could and just slice them, be like, done. Like you're not spending multiple episodes yelling at each other and powering up. That's not how it works.
Right. But yeah, like I was gonna say, like what you said earlier, like he's one of the last of the samurai or a last of a dying breed or whatever. Like he already kind of began to leave that behind when he got the Sakabato Kageuchi, the sword with the blade on the other side. Like
yeah, and that's
The
not in the
reverse
OVA.
blade sword.
yeah, the reverse blade, which like it breaks and he gets a new one later. But like that's already like kind of leaving that life behind by making your sword, not fatal on the right side, which is kind of badass. Like when you think about, I always thought that was fucking cool. Like I don't know, I'm glad Nick brought that up because I didn't even think about it like that, but that is fucking cool. That does make the intensity of what Kenshin is doing, and it builds his character real nice. And I would almost say, like, it's cooler to watch Rurouni Kenshin, even just, like, the first 30 or so episodes, and then go back and watch this.
That's how
I
most
almost
people
feel like-
have seen it, I think.
Right, because it came out after. But I'm just saying, like, if you've never watched any of it, I almost would say, like, that's almost fucking cooler to watch Rurouni Kenshin and be like, oh, man, you keep hearing all this stuff about that he used to be a manslayer. And then you can go back and actually watch when he was one.
And it's also more shocking, too, because you see, like, the brutal violence.
Right. It's like, and I think that another reason why they wanted to do that too is like, what happened or what did Kenshin see that was so terrible to make him want to carry around a sword that didn't kill anyone? Even though he's like a really great swordsman and he knows one of the most, powerful sword styles there is.
Yeah.
Like, what made him want to carry that around?
I mean, I think we can figure that out. Basically, he found out that violence wasn't the answer. Like, if he wanted to affect change, he would have to do it through other actions, through peaceful actions and, basically like living a good life, that type of thing.
Right.
Being a revolutionary
I was asking like
to
rhetorically,
him didn't really, he didn't really make as much of a change as he wanted to, not in the right way. So it's kind of posing that question a little bit. It's like, no matter what side you're on, it's like, is violence really the answer? Probably not.
The answer is yes. No,
At least
but
not
like,
for
no,
your
like,
quality of life.
that's what I'm saying. Like that having that question in like your mind while you're watching Rurouni Kenshin, and then to be able to go back and watch Samurai X or Trust and Betrayal to get it answered is like, oh, okay, shit. And I think that's why it's great also that Trust and Betrayal is much more grittier and darker than the series. That makes it that much more like...
Yeah, and we should talk about the animation too, which we haven't mentioned.
Sorry, Studio Dean's animation. I brought it up a little bit, but not too
Dean
much.
is notorious for having like bad animation, especially in TV series. But with Kenshin, like in OVA, you're allowed to put in a lot more manpower per minute than you are in a TV show, like more time. So with this, it's like they animated strands of hair. They had like gorgeous backgrounds. Like every single background was amazing. And a lot, it was like often backlit with like a red sky or red water. And that really kind of enhanced the mood of like, oh, there's death and violence,
The scene where his master sees him like at the site where everyone's buried, it shows all these like crosses up in the air at like almost like a...
Oh yeah, the first episode, yep.
At like not a 45-degree angle, right? Yeah, 45-degree angle kind of. It goes down, and you see the red sky. Everything is just like orange and red, like a really deep orange and red, and yeah, it's really good. And then like the fight scenes, especially, like you are just straight up watching a samurai movie. Like it's amazing. It's cool. There's one thing at the end where he's fighting the Shinsengumi and is about to fight Saito and all them, where it does like this kind of flashing screen thing.
Yeah, they do that a couple of times.
I didn't mind it, but I kind of like...
I feel like they did it I feel like they did it one too many times. Like, I wonder if that was a reference to an older movie that I'm just not picking up on right now.
Well, that's what I was wondering too, because you had brought that up. You had said like, "Oh, I want to know."
It's almost like
inspired this, inspired that.
I don't know if Kill Bill did that. Obviously, Kill Bill came later, but Kill Bill was inspired by like Lady Snowblood and I think it was like Kazuo Koike. I could be wrong on that, but
I don't know that. I know Lady Snowblood.
Lady Snowblood's not the same type of story as Kenshin. It's like really extreme and like super revenge filled. But I mean, all these like samurai style shows and movies share some characteristics, so I'm wondering if they just kind of pay homage to each other. I mean, they do, but I'm wondering how much anyway.
Definitely Kill Bill like was paying homage to a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
but
Kill Bill was more Lady Snowblood than anything.
But the idea of like, that's what's cool too, is because like Kenshin, like he didn't really want revenge, he just wanted peace by the end of it. But anyway, like the animation though, in like the fight scenes, other than like the flashing thing that they were doing, the blinking thing, which in between some of the blinking, they were showing like still shots of like close-ups of Kenshin's face and his opponent's face, and that maybe that's why they did it too. But I don't know, I kind of felt like it was unnecessary. Like you should have just,
Yeah, it's like a minor, just like a
that's
minor
a minor
gripe,
minor nitpick.
But yeah.
There's a couple of scenes though too where like in the fight scenes where when Kenshin swings his sword, they color it like a bright white line, and it's just like he's slashing bitches super hard, and it was badass. Like, I always appreciate that. I think Sword of the Stranger does that too.
Oh yeah, Sword of the Stranger is another. That's probably the best, like, sword fighting anime choreography. I said that in the wrong order. If you want to watch like a really good sword fight, Sword of the Stranger is where you should go. Kenshin has some good ones too, but these ones, the only issue with Trust and Betrayal's fights are they're so fast. They're over so quick. It's not as not as Hollywood as it could be. It's just like efficiency. And
which in real life they probably were that quick, but like I think that's what they might have been trying to go for.
There's a lot of like merit to that too. So, but if you want something like really drawn out and artistic, then like choreographed, then Sword of the Stranger is probably the first place to go. I think Afro Samurai had some decent fights too, if I remember right.
Man, we should talk about Afro Samurai soon because that's like getting up there too. But like,
and Samurai Champloo had a few, I think, but
Samurai Champloo also did that too.
It had a couple.
Where when Mugen and Jean would swing their swords, it did like that.
Yeah,
and
the first episode was a good one, and yeah.
Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Made that king, 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 whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And then Fu with the bomb in her boobies and the. And then he killed the guy, and he was like.
How did he die?
He went like this. He went.
He did the Wilhelm scream. Oh!
Yeah, wait, someone download that sound for me so I can.
It's not a western unless you have the Wilhelm scream. Some guy falling off a roof.
No, Nick, you got that wrong. It's not a whole movie.
That's true.
Don't have the Wilhelm
it's in
scream.
Star Wars.
It is. It's like in all 3 Star Wars. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, dude, even fucking Star Wars like lightsaber combat. They
borrow a lot from Kurosawa, for sure.
Yeah. The 7 forms of lightsaber combat are basically like Japanese sword fighting styles.
I mean, it's a sword basically. So like you have to like, how do you sword fight?
Yeah, you have to like do stuff. Yeah.
It makes sense. We should also mention the music, the soundtrack. How did you guys feel about that? It was by Taku Iwasaki. He's done.
I like
Danny's favorite show, Akame ga Kill.
Yes.
He's also done. He's done a lot of stuff. He did JoJo. He did Noragami. Had a really good soundtrack too. A lot of stuff. Soul Eater. Ton of stuff.
I like the soundtrack in Soul Eater. My favorite song in Trust and Betrayal though is that main theme.
He did Gurren Lagann too. Holy shit.
That plays at the end. When it shows like Kenshin going back to the grave to put Tomoe's scarf on, and then it shows his master seeing the scarf on the crosses, and he kind of has that realization that okay, he learned his lesson for real this time.
It's very subtle.
Yeah, I just like the melody.
Yeah, it's very subtle. It's not like too flashy.
Yeah, they don't necessarily get stuck in your head too much. You're not like humming them.
Yeah.
But as far as like a soundtrack, it definitely fits what's on screen.
Mm-hmm.
It meshes well.
I think they more so very much wanted to set the mood of the environment by the backgrounds and the color palette, like Nick said. And the music was more of just like like what Nick said again,
and
just a background.
It did stay somber and well, I guess somber is probably the best word I can think of. It was like really dramatic the whole time. Like they didn't fall into the trap of like Full Metal Alchemist or even regular Kenshin where they randomly pull out these slapstick comedy moments. This was just pure drama, like the whole way through.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And that's another reason they made the OVA was so they could avoid that. Because with the TV show, that like they kind of have to add that in,
right,
to pad it out and that type of thing to get a younger audience.
You ever seen the anime Gasaraki? There's like no humor in it at all.
Oh yeah, I've heard of Gasaraki. I haven't seen that one yet.
Dude, the robots in there are fucking cool. Anyway, but no, I agree with what you said there. I do like the soundtrack, but yeah, for me, other than the main theme, I kind of almost like appreciated it as it chilled in the background. I was more so into like everything else, like just as a samurai movie in general.
Yeah, and it did really sound like a samurai soundtrack too.
It did, yeah.
Had like a slow build up with like drums and like horns and stuff. So
doom, 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 doom. Yeah, fucking badass. That I would even put this movie or this OVA on a list of samurai films that need to be watched.
Oh yeah,
even if you haven't seen Rurouni Kenshin.
I mean, like if you like samurai, like anything, this is where you should go. Like Trust and Betrayal, obviously the classics from Kurosawa, Kill Bill, that type of stuff. But I mean, I think Trust and Betrayal it's on that
Kill Bill
list.
Volume 1 more so than Volume 2.
Yeah, it's well, Volume 2 had good moments too. But anyway.
Anyway, save for the Kill Bill podcast.
We should do an episode on like Kurosawa. That'd be sweet.
Dude,
Seven Samurai, like AO episode, or it would
dude,
be
I'm
AO.
so down. Dude, shut up. I'm so down right now.
Oh my god, dude, I want to watch Ozu. I've never seen an Ozu film either because he did Tokyo Story, and that was like, that's always on the critics' list of like best movies ever made.
I've never seen that one.
Well, like Ozu, if you watch that, you'll be like, oh yeah, this is anime. Like a lot of the slow moments, like from Ghibli, you'll see it's like shots of like scenery and type of stuff for like low camera. From Tatami.
We're about to get big brained on samurai.
Yeah, I'm not a
right
film
now.
student. Like, don't take my word for it. But
We're about to get galaxy brained.
going
on,
off whatever
on samurai films.
But that'd be
But
sick,
no,
though.
for real.
I'm down for that.
You would so put this on a list of samurai films that need to be watched.
I'd have to
already.
watch
Like,
all of
hell
them to rank them, but this would be on there somewhere.
for sure. I watched Seven Samurai a couple years ago again because the first time I watched it on AMC, and they actually like cut out a couple parts. But remember that TV channel AMC? But yeah, like Seven Samurai's sick. But I would definitely put Trust and Betrayal on a list of samurai films that need to be watched, whether it's on a top 20 10 list or whatever.
I think you could put a top 10. I think it'd have to be top 10.
I mean, other than it being historical, it's just a really
going off
cool,
the top of my head. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Not an expert, so
Bakumatsu era and all that.
But really,
Do
number
we
one is the obviously the Linkin Park AMV.
Oh
I think we
god.
can
Oh yeah,
agree on
dude.
that.
I'm not even gonna look. Me and Nick argue.
You know how many
a
times I
lot.
watched that? So
I'm
many.
not even gonna fight you.
As
I'm
a
not even
kid.
gonna fight you.
That's
right
like
now.
no. That's literally one of the first videos I watched on the internet, like growing up
I think that's
in the early 2000s.
everyone. Yeah, when YouTube first came out, like
I
That
watched
was
that
the
before
thing.
YouTube, I think.
that was
before YouTube.
That came
me
out
and Nick
before
were going
that.
on. Dude, we were going on Kazaa downloading them or going to
Oh, gosh.
AMV.org.
Like Newgrounds had a lot of stuff.
But AMV.org, you couldn't stream them. You had to download them. And I had dial-up internet.
Yeah, broadband wasn't like widespread until a little bit later.
But that was the thing back in the early 2000s to like fucking watch AMVs.
Especially with Linkin
Yeah, dude.
Park. That's how you know it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
First anime convention I ever went to was Anime G-Tour in 2005, and they had a whole room dedicated to just like a guy who had spent like
They would do
I think he-
contests. They would do
Yeah.
contests
Yeah.
for AMVs.
I think they still do them, but it's not as big as it used to be.
they still do them, but this guy was from like AMV.org, and he set up like a projector with his computer with like his 5 hard drives and just was showing them throughout the whole day. So you could just go in there and sit there and watch anime music videos, funny ones and not funny ones. Like it was super cool. But yeah, they had contests too, but I think that was only like, God, if I knew how to edit video back then, I totally would have done it. I mean, I should try and make an AMV.
I mean,
guys.
it's a lot
Let's do
easier
it.
nowadays. There's a lot
Yeah,
better
it's definitely-
technology.
Now that I know how to do it and there's easier technology.
The only problem is you can't really put it on YouTube or they'll fucking flag your video. So it's like,
So you're saying I should make a Linkin Park one? Got it.
yeah. If you put that one on YouTube, they'll okay. It'll be fine.
No, it'll be fine. It's Linkin Park. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you give this for in terms of just anime? What do you give this final score?
Danny, would you like to go first?
No, we do NDS. You have to go first, Nick.
NDS.
NDS.
All right, the NDS agreement.
Nick was like, I didn't sign that.
I think I ended up giving this an 8 or a 9 on my anime list.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty high for Nick.
What?
That's a Nick 8, by the way. 8.5.
What?
Yeah. A Nick 8. Well, okay.
I could see someone giving it a 10. You know, it didn't really have any major flaws. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 was that the story itself and like the premise was a little bit like linear, and like it didn't quite have like it didn't go above and beyond in terms of like the themes, hashtag themes. Whereas something like Angel's Egg, where it's like so fucking out of nowhere, it's just like this crazy shit that you can delve into over and over again and rewatch a million times. Trust and Betrayal didn't have as much rewatch value for me, so I capped it around an 8 or a 9, somewhere in that range. That'd be like an A tier, I guess, A-. So yeah, everybody should watch it for sure. I think it's one of the best. If you count it as an anime movie, whatever, it's close enough. I would say it's one of the better anime movies. Like it would probably be in my top 10 for sure.
On Mal, I gave it a 7.
What's your problem?
That's because Danny watched the dub. They're like, Tomoe!
Whatever, man.
Hey, I'm Kenshin. This is my voice.
I'm going to use the Haichin Mitsuragi style.
We have to fight the shogunate.
You know what?
The subtitle adds a full point,
I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm
just telling you, Dan. I think your score is accurate. The dub does take a full point off the score.
Did you watch it in dub, Danny?
Mm-hmm.
Danny watches
I don't think
everything
the dub is that bad.
It's not that bad, and not only that,
good.
I've seen this before.
Yeah, because Danny's a big Rurouni Kenshin fan, too.
No way. Tomoe's Japanese voice actress was amazing.
Yeah.
She added
I don't think
point.
I don't think the dub is as bad as Nick is saying it, though. I'm just giving Danny shit.
It's
but
really not.
It's like mediocre
really
as fuck,
bad.
though. Like, it doesn't... It's not good, though.
Could it have been better? Of course,
it's
absolutely.
An ADV dub.
It could have
It's
been
not
better.
good.
But for what it is, it still delivers what the sub would,
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
It
still
gets you the
it
story.
still
You're like,
gives
oh,
you
I know
that-
what
it's-
happened, but it
it
doesn't
still
provide
gives you
any
the
extra
story.
emotion.
Yeah, it does.
It's
What are you
totally
talking about?
emotionless.
You're emotionless.
You
Yeah,
are.
but I'm not a voice
Get
actor.
out of my face. Get out of my face. Then, let me like what I like, and I won't criticize you.
Look, Danny,
Just
I'm
let
just
me
trying
be.
to tell
Just
you
let me
why
be.
your opinion is wrong, okay?
Your opinion is wrong, first of
That's
all.
like
number
that's
one.
like your. Here, I'm gonna pull a quote. I'll be like, "That's like your opinion, man." Which is what he says every time.
More
I don't
like
think
the dude from The Big Lebowski. Well, that's just your opinion, man.
It's just, and then Nick, calmer than you are.
Calmer than you are, dude.
Calmer than you are, dude.
No, he says calmer than you are, man.
So we got a 8, 7. I give it an 8. I give it like a because I wonder if my opinion would have been different, or my score would have been different if I had not seen Rurouni Kenshin before. But I have.
Yeah.
I think it works
kinda,
without seeing it. I'd give it the same score.
It definitely works without seeing the show, in all honesty. You don't have to watch the show in order to watch this. If you just so happen to come across Trust and Betrayal and you decided to watch it, it really won't you won't be lost, really, because there aren't any returning characters from the show, really.
Oh no, of course not. I'm just saying I wonder if my opinion would have been, if my score would have been lower.
I mean, essentially,
Because-
I've seen Kenshin, but it's been so long that I basically forgot. So,
Dude, the opening theme to that anime, Freckles, so good. But
that's the best OP.
it was one of those ones where they did it like Yu Yu Hakusho, where it's the same song, but they just changed the lyrics to English.
Yeah.
I would give it I would probably give it an 8 too, though.
that's a Psalm 8. So Nick 8, a.k.a. a Psalm 10.
Okay.
'Cause I have better
Let's
taste.
Relax for a minute.
I'm just kidding.
Just calm down.
Listen, we had the intervention episode last
We
week.
did.
Let's not
We
do this
had-
again.
You should have talked about my scores.
I rate things lower because I have better taste.
Wait, why didn't we intervention Nick on his scoring?
I think we tried, but then it reverted to something else.
Yeah, it reverted to Nick telling a 10-minute long story of I'm in the basement with Billy and Jigsaw, and you and him are toilets and sinks in above the floor or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that'd be scary, dude.
I'll tell you what though, definitely watch.
definitely fucking watch. Fucking cool, especially if you're a Rurouni Kenshin
We gotta
fan.
emphasize again. This is all about the mood. Samurai X, like,
Yeah,
it's a really dramatic, bloody, dark, like beautiful movie. Basically, that's the whole point of it.
That's a good way to say
All
it.
the plot details doesn't fucking matter. It's just it's just details.
I still need to make a shirt with Nick on it that says "fuck plot."
Hashtag fuck plot. There you go.
Just like a chibi Nick with like the beady, like the dot eyes, and says "fuck plot, dude." It's stupid.
I don't understand why people value plot so much. It's like the least important aspect to a movie or a TV show.
We should have a whole episode of you just explaining that whole take.
I'd have to like
kind of a
gather
hot take.
my notes and research. It's not even a hot take. Well, anyway, whatever. People want to know what happens. They want to talk about it around the water cooler. All right, whatever.
Around the water cooler order. All right. Monday, huh? Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think of it, okay? You should watch it. We all recommend you watch it, especially if you're a Rurouni Kenshin fan. Even if you're just like a samurai genre fan, like you're a fan of the genre of samurai films or ninja films, that is a must watch. I will definitely say, as me and Nick said earlier, and Danny, like, I would definitely put it on a list of samurai films you need to watch for sure, whether you've seen Rurouni Kenshin or not. That being said, we got an 878 on the board of the in NDS order. That's pretty good. So that means you should watch it. Anime Summit stamp of approval. Whoosh! Okay. So get cracking on that.
Crack-a-lackin'.
Get crack-a-lackin'. Okay. That being said, I've been Sam. That's been Nick. That's Danny. And this has been the Anime Summit Podcast.
And DS.
Should just have a whole podcast of sword sound effects. Whoosh!